And that's how you double $1 billion, bro. It's not that hard. Hi, guys, and welcome to Tickers from the Limitless Podcast. This is a series where we review listed companies on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. I'm Matthew.
Thaon.
And today we'll be talking about Jamaica Broilers Group, ticker as JBG. But before we get into the video, as always, we'd love if you guys would subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, like the video. You can also follow us on your podcasting platform of choice, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. It really means a lot to us. And without further ado, let's get into it. How are you feeling about this one, Thaon?
So, I mean, Broilers, household name. I think it's just like, you
Best
can't
dressed
be a
chicken.
Jamaican, best dressed chicken. You can't be a Jamaican and not know about Jamaica Broilers. That's just my opinion, right? Whether you're a vegan or not, you must know about best dressed chicken. You must have seen some ads, seen it in the supermarket, that kind of stuff. So it's such a...
What's their, do you remember like their jingle? I know the CB chicken one, but
no,
I'm trying to remember Broilers.
I don't know.
I think they have. Remember. I'm sure they must have some jingle or something. I can't remember it either.
I can't remember either. But I think Broiler's a great company. I met the CEO actually, Stalevi. Yeah, actually I went to his house years ago. So he is big at Morelands Sacristan camp. Yeah, he's heavily, or I don't know if he still is, but was definitely heavily involved in Morelands and so on. And because I was a counselor, we had some activities, I remember, at his house. And that's before I knew who he was and so on. So when I started investing in stocks and I was looking at Broilers a few years ago and I saw his face, I was just like, oh, this guy. I can't even remember his camp name because he had a cool camp name too. But yeah.
Okay, the more you know.
The more you know.
The more you know. But yeah, Broilers, JBG. Let's get into it. Our usual tickers format. How do they make money? What's going on around the company? What are some of their plans? Who owns it? And how is it trading and stuff? So, money, Jamaica Broilers, they are really big into chicken and all of the different like chicken related products, but they're not just chicken. We'll talk about they make products outside of chicken, and I didn't actually realize it was them till I did the research and I was like, oh wow, that's them. But they're mainly into chicken, right? And they have their flagship brand that probably every Jamaica knows about, and even people outside of Jamaica, the best dressed chicken. That iconic logo with the little yellow chicken in the like the suit and the cap and whatever. That's them, best dressed chicken. So most people maybe don't realize that, oh, Jamaica Broilers they are the people that really sell the best dressed chicken. They sell a lot of, people buy like frozen chicken. You can buy the whole chicken. You can buy like mixed parts and whatnot.
And specific parts to like drumsticks, wings.
Yeah. They have, grilled chicken here, free range chicken, breaded chicken. I know that they're pushing more into this processed part or like frozen stuff to like, oh, you can just, cause I guess it's like convenience if someone, instead of having to like cook down the chicken and whatever, you can just buy the chicken tenders, the chicken nuggets, put it in the oven, get some ketchup, maybe do some fries or something, and
do you use this? Do you use these products? Because I actually really like these products.
I tried I think it was the tenders or the nuggets once. It was all right. I probably should have put it on for longer. I don't think I tried the wings. And I guess we do have the chicken, like the chicken itself, like the chicken parts. Yeah. So yeah, that's really...
They're really good. Like, I think it leveled up my... this was before I started having... So in the mornings, sidetrack, of course, but I do shakes in the mornings. But before I do shakes, because shakes take like...
As in the only thing you have is a shake?
Yeah.
And that fills you?
No, but...
this is after your workout?
Yeah, after workout. So I go gym
That's not.
early. Like I wake up 4:30, I'll go gym, and
Uh-huh.
then I come home and then I have a shake. But the shake has a lot of stuff in it, like protein powder,
Mm,
oats, fruits, that kind of stuff. But before I used to the
mm,
shakes, I realized
mm-hmm,
buying an air fryer is game changing because you could literally just pop the stuff in the air fryer, whether it's
mm-hmm,
these products. And I used to buy their wings a lot actually. And I'd put the
mm,
wings in the air fryer
mm-hmm,
and go bathe, come out the shower, flip them when the timer goes beep 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 or whatever,
mm,
and then
mm-hmm,
get ready. And then by the time I'm ready, I can just sit down and eat my food. So
mm,
I like that they're going into that more.
mm-hmm,
As you say, it's convenient, right? And
mm-hmm,
it says kid approved, which is kind of cool. I ain't no kid,
mm-hmm.
but
Yeah, I guess
the
that's a
product still
pretty
slap.
easy thing for like a kid to make, and it's like
Hmm.
you're saying like an air fryer. It's not something
And not even
where
just a kid to make, is for parents as well, because they
yeah,
need,
yeah.
if they're getting ready
Mm-hmm,
to, like, anything that cuts down that time
mm-hmm,
to get ready for work because the traffic is rough,
mm-hmm,
and get your kids ready for school and all those things. If you can cut down that time of like cooking and all that kind of stuff,
mm-hmm.
yeah, bro, game changing.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the iconic thing of it, Jamaica Broilers Best Dressed Chicken. There was some interesting stuff that I was learning. Do you know about like the stages of a chicken? Because one of the things I have to realize is that there are all these different steps along the process. So
Mm-hmm.
there and there's you can be in the chicken business and you could just be someone who sells eggs that will then because there's like eggs that are fertilized that will then hatch into a chick. But I
Mm-hmm.
remember that there's eggs that we just eat, like the non-fertilized eggs that we will just eat. So like
Mm-hmm.
you could be in the chicken business and just sell fertilized eggs to people. Then that person, their business alone is just um growing the fertilized the eggs would hatch and then they just grow it and into the chick and then they go through the different stage. There's baby chicks, then there's pullets, then there's poll hens, and then laying hens, and there's like that different stage and whatnot. But what's interesting about broilers is that they hit a lot of those different points. So it's not like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
they're just buying the finished chicken and then they just, put it to rest and then cut it up and whatever. They don't just do that. They do a lot along that step. So it's like a fully integrated chicken business that they do. So
Yeah,
they do a lot of those stuff. So I found that pretty interesting. So you can be in the chicken business and you can be at different steps in the chicken business.
you said fully integrated, and I agree. It's like what they call the whole um business model is vertically integrated.
Mm-hmm.
From, as you say, you start from the
They actually have it on their
eggs.
website. They
Yeah, they
show it
start
a
from the
vertical
eggs.
integration.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So they do everything with chickens from egg.
Yeah.
I think they have they
Even the
make their own
feed mill
feed.
too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Mm-hmm.
make their own feed. They slaughter the chickens themselves. They own a distribution company that
Mm-hmm.
pushes that stuff to shelves. So it's
Mm-hmm.
fully vertically integrated.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, they're pretty interesting like how they do it. And they're mainly based, well, not I won't say mainly, but they're split up into two main countries,
Mm-hmm.
Jamaica and the US. So for example, in Jamaica they have hatcheries. So these, they what it sounds like. They hatch the fertilized eggs into the chicks and then they'll raise the chicks to the point where they will, eventually become the mature chicken and then that can lay eggs or it can, give you meat and stuff like that. So they own two hatcheries in St. Catherine and yeah, they actually sell to Jamaican farmers, and some of them they're like have contracts with them and stuff like that. And actually, it's actually interesting. I remembered when I first started realizing that there was a patient of mine in the past, and it's like she became a chicken farmer when she like got laid off, and like she was telling me
Mm.
about how yeah she got laid off from like her other job. I think she used to work at one of those like construction related companies, and she told me that she decided she always wanted to be a farmer, and she just took that as a sign. And like broilers is actually what she was telling me was that broilers actually helps with the financing or helps you with I don't know if it's maybe them directly providing the financing or they just maybe help you get related to like a bank or something like that. But
Mm-hmm.
she was telling me that they helped her with the financing to get onto the project, and she now has a chicken farm, and she's like has that partnership and stuff with broilers. So, I guess that was something where I actually saw that. So they have their hatcheries that they have, and then it's I guess it's pretty straightforward. It'll hatch the chicks, and then raise the chicks. You feed them. They also do the feed mill. So the feed mill makes the feed for different animals. So it's not just, and the interesting part is that it wasn't just chickens that they make the food for. So they get it from, they make the food from things like soybean and corn. They have a factory here. I'm showing you here the High Pro factory.
Yeah.
And this factory actually
You can see it
converts the
off the highway actually when you're on the South Coast Highway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So they actually will make the feed for the different animals. So they do it for poultry, cows, goats, horses, pigs, fish. So it's almost like they're a one-stop shop. Essentially, they go through it like, so even something like a Caymanas with their horses, a Separad, a Grace with their cow farms, all of those JP, all those different. So it's like just a lot of, it's just animal foods in general they provide through that company, High Pro. So that's how I said, it's not just like, even though it's like, okay, they're more heavily focused on chicken, it's not just chicken. They're more than that. And yeah, they have even like the field operations where they'll grow chickens from the hatchery. And I saw that it takes an average of 6 weeks of like the grow up period. And then they have like the chicken processing plants where they'll actually, so they'll get the chicken, you kill it and whatever, and then you actually cut it up. And as we said, we showed like, for example, the things like it could be where it's converted to maybe the frozen stuff. So like those breaded wings or whatever, those different products.
Yeah.
And yeah, so they do that processing side too. And then they also even have a company called Jamaica Egg Services, where they'll sell, eggs, and then people will, and they even do like some vet and lab services apparently. So they said they provide healthy, ready to lay pullets. I remember I mentioned that pullet was like one of the stages. I think it was the stage. I think was it the stage after the chick?
Yeah.
I
It's
think.
the stage after the chick.
Yeah. So it's baby chicks, pullets, pull hens, and laying hens. So they'll provide pullets to farmers. So it's like, yeah, it's a pretty. It's they hit along. The main point is that they hit along a lot of that chicken, like they have a lot of that chicken business at the different levels, and then they do things outside of the chickens. And then they also have the US operations. I actually did a nice little map here of like the US states. So like they were in things like Iowa, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Georgia, is it Arkansas? Arkansas, yeah. So that they have all of these different stuff. So like in Arkansas, that's in the hatchery, Georgia, the hatchery. Wait, no, Iowa and Pennsylvania is a hatchery. Georgia, Arkansas is the where they actually generate the eggs and those stuff like the laying. So yeah, they have a lot of different operations across the United States. I guess they're more on the East Coast. And they even have a subsidiary called WinCorp, which I found interesting. WinCorp was more than just it's like it was a lot of the farming, what would you say, the farming affiliated yeah. It was, I'm gonna try to show, can I not show this here, hold on. Yeah, so it was like, oh yeah, so WinCorp did a lot of the, so it's almost like if you are someone who wants to, you're like a farmer, you want to get different machines and other stuff, they'll sell even the machines. Let me try pull it up so you can see it properly. This is unloading. Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, so I'm trying to show you, like, yeah, so they win through WinCorp. I guess they do a lot of different, I'm showing you some of these different machines, like the machines you need to like feed the chickens and the chicks and all of that stuff. They sell like a lot of those. Oh, I found it now. They sell a lot of those different products.
Yeah, they're wholly owned subsidiaries of JBG. So WinCorp, is two of them. Is WinCorp Inc. International Inc. Sorry, and WinCorp Properties Inc. So, and I think they're US based, right?
Yeah, that's a US company. But like,
Yeah.
say, I'm sure in farm supplies, they sell
Mm-hmm.
even animal tags, clinic supplies, bandages, like if the animals get hurt, disposable
Mm.
clothing for the farmers, I guess, drenchers, injectors, pig, like all kind of different machines at any. So even if you were like, I guess a competitor, maybe like if you wanted to set up a chicken processing plant, it's like they
Yeah.
sell some of those kind of stuff you would need at these areas. So it's like I was like, wow, it's not once again, it's almost like they're a farming they're like both
A
a farmer
powerhouse. Yeah,
and
they're a
then
farming
yeah, they're like a
powerhouse.
farmer, but then they
Mm-hmm.
also sell they're not there's they'll sell the things that a farmer needs. Like see they sell pumps, motors, spare parts.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so I was like, wow, that's pretty powerful that they do, all of that
Yeah.
stuff.
Because
I
they
think
also procure and distribute those supplies like agricultural and industrial supplies.
hmm
Um, yeah.
yeah.
But the
So
WinCorp properties, from what I understand, they're the ones
hmm
that are primarily involved in like feed mill and sales and those kind of stuff. And WinCorp Properties is the one that acquired the feed mill operation in the US. This was in 2019. I remember the year. And I think that was when JBG was really extending into like, America and that poultry industry in America and things. So
hmm
yeah, big.
hmm yeah, there are quite the 'cause I think the feed part was like Crystal Feeds. That's one of their companies that sells a lot of the feeds. So like we mentioned, they have the High Pro in Jamaica. They also have a feed related business in the US too. So as I said, they're pretty big. Just think anything like kind of farming, and that's really Jamaica Broilers, both on the animal side itself, but then also the other side where the machines to process those animals. And then I remember I mentioned it's not just chicken stuff. So they do. Did you know
Mm-hmm.
Hamilton Smokehouse? That's them.
Is
I don't know if
it?
you've ever bought. Yeah, it's
That's
them.
not CB?
No,
That's not
that's how
under
it's
CB Foods?
Broilers. This is Broilers website. I'm showing you.
Why did I not
Or
realize that?
no, let me show you. I think
I
it's their
swore it was under CB Foods. Oh, the more you know.
no. Mm-mm.
Interesting.
They
Okay.
bought them in 2013. I don't know if it's that.
Mm.
I wonder if they used to.
So, I'm probably thinking Copperwood. Yeah, my bad. My bad. Yeah, you're right. You're
Mm.
right. You're right. I'm
So
thinking
yeah.
Copperwood because CB Foods owns and CB Foods, of course. Well, I guess we'll talk about them as a competitor.
So I
But
don't know if
yeah,
if you ever bought. I used to have these
yeah, the
the
smoked.
chicken.
Yeah,
Yeah, used
yeah.
to have some of those chicken. They do sausages too. I've had their
Mm,
sausages before, so I guess they're even like a CPJ competitor. I know like CPJ does some of those um sausages and stuff like that, breakfast sausages, say, hams and stuff like that. So the Hamilton Smokehouse, once again, a brand that you may not realize. Did you know Reggae Jamming is them?
yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
know that because
yeah.
I used to have like Reggae Jamming burgers and stuff like that, or even the
Reggae
sausages.
Jamming Burger. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really have them now. But then once again, CPJ, for example, does their burgers and stuff like that too. So it's like once again, that's like a competitor with them. Rotisserie
Wow.
chicken, Reggae Jamming rotisserie chicken,
Oh
and I guess
yes.
that's more
Wow, I
obvious
didn't
and
even
stuff.
realize. Yes, Reggae Jamming does rotisserie
Yeah. So then they
chicken
sell
too.
the rotisserie. Yep, yep, yep. So they hit those
Jeez,
different
that's
steps.
huge.
hmm
And Hypro feeds.
And then Hype Road, as I said, so like any other vets, animal providers, all of those stuff. And then Hype Road isn't just. I think Hype Road also sells.
It's feeds.
Um, it's not just feeds. Yeah, like they have because it's hardware stuff too. It's
Yeah,
not
it's
just
hardware.
yeah,
They have a
yeah,
store. Um,
yeah.
I don't know
Say
where their store is
Mandela.
located.
Say White
Oh
Mile
yes.
off Mandela High, St. Catherine. Yeah.
Oh,
So
Super
yeah.
Center. They said
So
yes.
what I'd say is it's really just farming. It's like a everything farming company. They
Huge.
are yeah. So that's really some of the different arms that they make money from. And in terms of stuff going on around the business, their big competitor would be Caribbean Broilers Group
Mm-hmm.
or CB Chicken, the CB Chicken, Jamaica's. I was saying that I'm pretty sure Broilers has breastless chicken has a thing. I just can't remember it. But yeah, Broilers is their Caribbean Broilers is their biggest competitor. I was trying to see who is bigger, but I couldn't really find it out. What I saw was that there was an article, I gleaned an article, I don't know what the source exactly was, May 2023. They were saying that according to data from the Ministry of Agriculture, they're 60% of the, let's see, 60% of the chicken meat from Jamaica comes from either Jamaica broilers and Caribbean broilers. The rest is from like smaller farmers and stuff like that. So I know that they are the majority. I'm just not sure how. And then, wow, look at that. So you mentioned, I think it was Copperwood, you said?
Yeah, Copperwood is CB
Copperwood is
foods.
CB. Bad Dog
Bad
Sausages
Dog.
is CB. Wow.
Yeah,
so you see
I
they kind of
know.
compete there too, because broilers has their reggae jamming and stuff like that.
Caribbean Passion too. I think they also do
the meats and stuff like that.
Yeah, smoked.
Yeah,
Is it
I think they
smoked
do a
meats?
ham. Yeah, I think ham or something like that.
Ham.
I think I've seen
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
And
So
then they do
broilers,
eggs, chicken ham eggs, smart eggs.
So that's similar stuff to Jamaican broilers to them.
Yeah,
They're
they're
not
their
just
biggest
chicken. They're like,
competitor.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, a private company, I guess. So I'm not really going to be able to. Guess I can say, oh, like they're profit wise or whatnot. But yeah.
Unfortunate. For list, man. CB. You guys need to list. Yeah.
Yeah. And in terms of like some of the stuff going on, I know that they've been speaking about rising costs because there's like rising. There was what was it? There was like outbreaks of, for example, like bird flu, and that is I should get into that. That's one of the risks that I identify. Like for example, bird flu. There was I think between 2022 and like 2023, there were like some outbreaks of bird flu, and then that was affecting that was causing like shortages of some of those different products in that, like I think the eggs and stuff like that were getting short, and then rising costs and whatever for them. And I was even seeing that that it doesn't, even it's called bird flu, it's not just birds it's affected in. Like it will affect other animals. Like it can affect cows, can affect other animals. It can even affect people. Like it's very rare to usually cause severe effects in people and stuff like that. But I was actually reading like some cases about there are some people who
it spreads
super usually it's more still yeah. So there were like some outbreaks at some farms in the US, and then they had to be killing off chickens and stuff like that. So that's something I guess to watch out for, like what's going on with that, because I guess I'm wondering, like, do you think our market is that way, that if say you saw there was like some huge outbreak of bird flu, would that then make you want to sell your Jamaica broilers and then cause the stock price to drop if a lot of people wanted to sell and get out or whatever?
Because you could attribute them to making heavy losses the following quarter. So it could be it's a big risk.
The interesting part was that I think when I asked them I should big up the same guy, Mr. Levy. He was on a Mayberry forum earlier, like mid 2024, and I asked about that. They said that JBG wasn't really affected that much by bird flu, luckily, because they have pretty stringent protocols in place. Like for example, I think they were thinking to do their AGM in person, but then their vets told them, "Yo, you can't do that because that could put the flock at risk and stuff like that." So they had to do it online because of that. So yeah, that's something I'd guess I'd track.
Limitless Podcast asks, how has bird flu impacted JPG's operation, if any?
Bird flu, the risk of this business, Limitless, is basically biological. That's one of the big unknown risks that you try and manage as best as you can.
Right.
The bird flu impact is more around what I would call regulation and the movement of goods at this point. We've not had any direct impact in terms of an outbreak or anything, quarantine any birds or anything like that. But it's in especially in the US, the regulation of how people move, how birds move is very, very sensitive. Jamaica has done, and the vet division have done an amazing job in keeping our livestock industry, what we'd call clean. The diseases and what I would call the exposure to different viruses that we see in the US, we don't see and have in Jamaica. That was actually quite a learning curve for us. We're dealing with different biological challenges that we weren't exposed to, quite frankly. But the thing is that they've done an amazing job here in Jamaica. So I think the risk in Jamaica is different than the risk in the US. And how they're handling it in the US more so is around movement of goods, what's the regulations in terms of farms and these sort of things.
Good deal. And follow-up question from Limitless is JBG looking to acquire any other businesses?
I don't think that's a good topic to discuss at this point. I think that the strategy of the US is we do want to continue to grow, and we will discuss and evaluate the opportunities as we come along. And
got it. I hear you loud and clear. So it could be organic or it could be inorganic.
Exactly right.
You'll just take advantage of opportunities as they present themselves.
Exactly right.
Well, folks.
So Limitless, I look for a question from you.
You come out in person. We look forward to it. Okay.
Infections, also climate change. I was looking into something. They were talking about. Do you know that heat? So the heat can like stress out the chickens, right? So that's why, like in the farms, if you look at some of them,
too. I understand.
yeah, they have a lot of fans to like cool the chickens, because if the chickens are stressed out, they get dehydrated, and then it's like they'll be trying to pass out an egg. It was like I guess a grown chicken, and it's like the egg gets stuck. Like it's almost like they don't have enough energy to push out the egg fully, and it will get stuck, and it can actually kill them. So that was happening to a lot of chickens. Yeah, so like obviously if their Jamaica Broilers is based in Jamaica, or they have their farm operations, as we mentioned, in Jamaica, then that could affect them or their farmers, so that's something I guess interesting to look at, because I even saw there was an article on one of your sites about Caribbean broilers, their competitor, and they were setting up some sort of science institution or something where they were going to work on developing like more, they were going to work on developing like more resilient breeds of chickens and stuff like that. Trying to, oh yeah, research facility here. Devonish and CB Group open a poultry research facility. Yeah, I think they were speaking about how they want to essentially breed animals that are like more resilient to the heat and stuff like that. So yeah, so the article here, October 30th, 2024, CEO of CB Group, Matthew Lynn, in a major step for agricultural science in the Caribbean, CB Group and Devonish Nutrition have launched a first of its kind tropical research and development facility designed to optimize poultry production for high temperature, high humidity conditions. So they're working on that. So I guess that's something, because like if global temperatures continue to rise, and then if the chickens weren't resilient, you could have farmers just losing tons and tons of chicken, and that wouldn't really be, there could be some big losses, I guess, for JBG. So that's something that I guess that's the benefit of them diversifying now that they're in the US, because maybe some of the US places aren't affected as bad by that. Then okay, you still have some ability to make revenues and profits and stuff like that. So that's something else to, I guess, watch out for, to make sure that hopefully we can develop more resilient chickens that will be able to withstand the temperatures and stuff like that.
Yeah, climate change and so on.
Yeah. And then even hurricanes too. So the hurricanes, for example, can affect the chickens. Like on the Mayberry forum, I don't remember if I asked them or what, they were speaking about the same CEO. He was speaking about that they lost some sales during the hurricane. There was they lost about a week of sales, and a lot of farmers were impacted, especially in the St. Elizabeth region because of Hurricane Beryl last year. And the storm also traumatized the birds. They were eating less. And also it knocks out some power, because then you obviously remember saying that it was just in this July period, so summer, so it was hot. You need to cool the birds. But then if you're losing electricity, how are you going to run? So some of them have like solar and stuff like that, but even that can damage your solar panels and stuff like that. So I think they were saying that they've been recovering and stuff like that. So looking forward, they should be good. But they were, if there are more hurricanes and stuff like that, that could negatively impact, other companies, but also broilers. And something that I don't know if you look into like lab grown meat and stuff like that.
I've seen like a lot of different articles and listen to stuff like that. So yes, I've seen lab grown meat. Just from like the cells. Like
they're actually so that they'll fully grow. They'll take the chicken cells and then give it the nutrients, and the cells will just grow into the chicken and stuff like that. And it's actually, that it was approved by like the FDA, and it's not gonna be for now that it actually replaces. I don't think it's actually gonna replace typical, way of growing chickens for now. But that's something that if you're maybe, I don't know, especially with things like AI and development, it's hard to kind of predict like what if 10 years from now it reaches a point, like what they're saying is that
chicken.
Yeah, could be, I don't know, it's what I've seen is that it's supposed to be a lot more, I guess, efficient eventually, because I think it's like supposed to be better in terms of like I guess greenhouse gas emissions and stuff like that. But I guess I have to look more into it. But I've kind of found that interesting, that I'd wonder if eventually broilers would be growing chicken in labs and whatever. But yeah, I don't think that's for now though. But I just still found it interesting.
Not. Probably not for now.
And the other thing that I think is important, like, remember, this is stocks, and just like with any other asset, supply and demand. If you have a limited supply of the shares, and someone or a party wants to buy a lot of these shares, at some point, if the demand is very high, the supply is decreasing, then you may see some share price movement. If you look at it, have you been tracking MJE or Mayberry, like their stock portfolio? They have been buying. They have been buying broilers heavy.
Yeah, they really have.
They've 3x their position since October 2022. JBG was actually their largest. I got this from their Mayberry's stock portfolio, their report up to September 2024. Broilers was actually their second largest holding. It was just under 10% of their portfolio.
What's number one? SVL?
Yeah, it's just under SVL.
Oh yeah, see,
they have been buying. They used to be like the top 10th shareholder. Yeah, and they are now fifth. So they have been buying broilers heavily, and I think they are a big reason why the share price is where it is. Like I was even looking at. Oh, it's not loading the tweets. Like Barry has been tweeting about this for like a while, yo.
He really has.
Tweeting JBG on the move. This is February 2023. My favorite pick for next year right now is JBG, and that was December 2022. And look at him tweeting December 22, just scooped up 4.5 million JBG. How much is that? JBG is was like $30 at the time, I think, or so. So him doing that is just under $1 million US.
Yeah,
he's buying, like he's been tweeting about it, and yeah, I think he's a big reason why the price is where it is now. I'd want to see if he continues to buy it. Like he's been buying at like 30 or so. So even him buying at like say 40 or higher may not really move his average price much.
True.
But yeah, in terms of even some of the plans that they spoke about, I know that they spoke about like acquisitions and other stuff in the past. I think I asked them at the Mayberry forum, but they didn't really want to talk about it. So maybe there's something there. I don't know. And I know that they're also working on upgrading So I think they were spend like $1 million US at one point to upgrade a hatchery in Jamaica. They spent $20 million US to upgrade a processing plant in South Carolina. And they're also looking to possibly buy a new hatchery or upgrade one of their existing hatcheries in the US. So I guess it makes sense. They want to take on more chicken business and stuff. They want to expand the business. So they say, hey, we need to buy up some new machines. I also know that they're looking into new product categories. Do you know that they launched a Vienna sausage in 2024 from a chicken Vienna sausage?
No, I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, so Broilers has
That's crazy.
there's an article that spoke about it. Yeah. I wonder if they have a picture of it here. Oh yeah, see here? Chicken Vienna sausages, best
I did
Swiss
not know
chicken.
that at all.
Yeah. So they're into other product categories and stuff. They don't just want to sell the chicken itself.
Mm-hmm.
And they're talking about, I think they mentioned expanding into other countries. I think right now they said the Caribbean takes up 8 to 10% of their revenues right now, and they export to, like, for example, Trinidad and other stuff. And they do want to look into more states, going into more states in the US, and that makes sense because, like, if you look at the size of the US market, it's a pretty big market. So if they can even get a small percentage of that.
True. I think there was a thing once about, so my problem with chicken is, I mean, everything is going up in terms of prices, right? Like chicken prices, I think in 2024 increased by almost 20%. Right? I think it's up 17%. Like I used to buy jerk chicken, bro. And I'm pretty sure at the starting of 2024, jerk chicken cost $8, and now it costs $1,000, right? So chicken prices have definitely gone up. And I remember seeing it's cheaper to import chicken rather than buying, like, foreign chicken. The actual cost of it, I mean, outside of tariffs and so on, the actual cost of it is much, much cheaper. Like, I think it's something like abroad is maybe like over a little bit over 100 Jamaican, per pound, whereas it's like over 300, almost 400 Jamaican per pound. So there is that. That's just something I always have to wonder about the industry, like the chicken industry, because suppose now when you mention risks like burial, right, or something where there is not enough local chicken, they have a thing called I think it's the CET, the common external tariff, and what that is, it's basically it's a part of Jamaica's trade policy regarding importation, especially I think it's chicken leg quarters, right? And the government has actually been considering suspending the tariff, as part of, it's like efforts to mitigate rising chicken prices, ensure food security for consumers, because we want cheaper chicken, right? Like people want cheaper chicken in reality. So I remember at one point there was them thinking about like temporary suspension of the CET, and additional stamp duties on imported chicken leg quarters and so on. So it's just, I don't know, man. Like, I think that's just something to be wary of. Like, if one day imported chicken gets that much cheaper than local chicken, all right, that could be a huge issue for broilers and CB and all these.
We don't think they could just sell. Couldn't they just sell their own products that they manufacture in Jamaica? I mean, sorry, remember they have a US operation, so couldn't they just sell their US products in Jamaica then?
True, but what percentage of their revenues come from US versus Jamaican operations? And even if they do that, it would, you still have to bring it into Jamaica and all of that. And then what happens to the local? No matter what, the local revenues would go down. The local production would go down. So it would still go down. And that would not just impact the company, but even other farmers, right? Like the local farmers. Because if you can import all of these chicken now, right? Let's say you can start to import all of this chicken. What happens to our local farmers, our local layers and stuff like that? Like those, they would be they can't compete in terms of price. Because I remember things went up, like the cost of the feed went up, especially after COVID, the war with Russia, all of those things. Like a lot of prices went up. So we wouldn't be able to compete with the US. It's just something to think about. The fact that chicken prices are artificially like imported chicken prices, it's like an artificial inflation. Like they make sure to keep it high just so that it's competitive with local chickens. That's kind of cool, kind of crazy to me. I guess that's just basic economics for the people that did econ, and that's just normal to them. But for me, I thought that was super cool still. But also risky, because one day, if there's a supply issue on the Jamaican side, I'm pretty sure they would say, all right, let's just relax this. We import a lot of foreign stuff, and it's kind of hard to, I guess you could go back and put back the tariffs and so on, but it's rough, yo. It's just something that you have to think about when you're investing in a company like JBG. Like, what are all the risk factors? What could literally, hit this company heavily? And you're right, bird flu is one, but even the tariffs is another point I just wanted to bring across. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm reading the article. This is from an article from January 2022. Chicken producers cry foul over tariff talk, and both of the high ups from the broilers and Caribbean broilers were saying, "Hey, Jamaica broilers and Caribbean broilers, they were saying that they basically didn't think it was a good idea, and they could essentially kill the industry, and it would make it hard for even like a local farmer to take up himself and invest in that when something like the fear of something like that happening."
Yeah.
Because the minister at the time, Pernell Charles, was saying the measure would be temporary. But I guess I don't think they didn't end up doing it, right?
I don't think
this
so.
Was January 2022.
Yeah, I remember reading that article. I don't think so.
Yeah. So that's something else. That's definitely something to, I guess, watch out for too. If that were to happen, what could that happen? Like, how would that affect broilers' business? Could they essentially say that they don't think it'd be good, and then how would that then affect the stock price?
Precisely. That's
yeah.
real. That's a very real fear. But still like the company. Let's keep going.
One of the things that it's not a plan, but I was mentioning that what if meant that if with them expanding into like the US market, I was thinking that they could be a takeover candidate eventually for maybe like a larger poultry company in the US. Because even looking in, for example, there's other companies in the US, like chicken companies, where they were bought by like a competitor.
Oh, well, I was even thinking WinCorp already bought, a company. Like they've already acquired. That's how they got the feed mill operation in the US. So you're right. They could buy another company.
So look at this. There was this was, when was this? 2021. There was this company. It was a listed company that was bought. So Cargill and Continental Grain Company, they bought a company called Sanderson Farms. And the price that they bought it at was a 30% premium to the share price that it was trading at the time. On, I don't know if it was NASDAQ or New York Stock Exchange. So I was like, yo, if broilers continues to like push into the market and they grow their market share, maybe one of these large players to them is like, hey, we'd be willing to just buy you. Maybe they're not as, maybe the Jamaican operations isn't something that they're as huge on, but maybe they're like, hey, I would really want that US side, and we'd be willing to buy that from you.
Yeah.
And maybe there's, because I guess that's something that I was missing, like maybe that's something that Barry's thinking about, because that'd be like a liquidity event for Mayberry, because if you look at just how much they own up to, what is it? How much do they own up to? Mayberry owns their portfolio. It's 2.3 billion. Jamaican is valued at the current price. So it's not easy to sell that amount of shares. So, but if there was a takeover bid at a 30% premium to whatever it was trading at on the market, that'd be nice. They could sell into that, cash out, and
Yeah,
if they
truly.
wanted.
And you say at the current price is like $40 now. The stock start
Mhm.
move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in terms of, I guess, financials, so let's see, the most recent reports, the most recent audited numbers was their financial year is one of the weird ones. Their financial year actually ends April 2024, or April in the financial year. So for their financial year, April 2024, it was a pretty good year for them.
Mm-hmm.
They made what, $6 billion in profit. And compared to April 2023, that financial year was just under 4.5 billion. The thing is, it included a one-off gain because there was actually a hatchery that they had bought a few years ago.
Yeah.
And they sold it to a US producer, and they made like a pretty big gain on that, by the way. I think it was like 3x. In, I don't remember how much time.
Yes,
I think it was 3x. They made it on still like 3. Yeah, but that, so when I did like a separate numbers without the one-off gain. So when you normalize it, it wouldn't be it wasn't, I guess, as good as April 2023. Because with the financial year with April 2024, without that one-off sale, so the business itself would have made about 3.8 bill compared to 2023 where they made about 4.5 bill. So profits were slightly down. But I guess what I was looking at was, I guess, current valuation metrics. So at the time that we're recording, the share price is actually at, what's this, $41.63. So basically $42. And at $40 based on the April numbers without the one-off sale, that'd be like a PE of 13 times. If it were to trade at the main market average PE is main market average PE is 19. That'd be a $60 stock.
Yeah.
And up to now they've released their 6 months, which is up to October 2024. Based on that, if they continue at that same rate, they could essentially beat out the financial year ended April 2024. And if they were to trade at the main market average, that'd be like a $70 stock.
Yeah.
And I guess I was looking at it in terms of stuff like, I should break down so remember we said that they're Jamaican and US. So the Jamaica operations is like 60% of gross profit. US operations is like 40%. Right? So Jamaica is still a bigger portion of the business, but that may not really be for now or always. Because when I was looking at it, the US market, right? I saw this was some 2022 data. The overall poultry market, which is like the chicken, eggs, turkey, all that stuff in the US, was valued at 76 billion US, right? And chicken was the majority of that. It was about just under 70%. That'd be 50 bill US. And when you made broilers, US revenue was like 240 mil. So I was basically, okay, what percentage of the market do they essentially have based on the 2022 numbers? That's not even 0.5%. I worked out to like 0.36%. So I was like trying to do some numbers. I'm like, okay, what if they continue to try like grow market share in the US? Because if you look at it, when the US side has grown pretty significantly, because from like 2019, the US side's revenue, this is the financial year ended April 2019, the US side's revenue made 20 billion Jamaican in revenue, right? Their most recent financial year was just under 40 billion. So they've essentially doubled between 2019, like basically 5 years.
Yeah.
They've doubled their size. And I was trying to, I guess, do some numbers into like, okay, what if maybe 3 years from now they can command 1% of the US market? even at the current, and this will be the current size of the market versus, the US market actually growing, that'd be them doing like 600, 700 mil US in revenue. So that's why I'm saying that there'll likely be a point, maybe probably like next 3-5 years, where the US side is bringing in more revenue and more
Profitable.
profit than the Jamaican side,
Yeah.
And I guess like
it makes
when I
sense
think,
because
Mhm.
our population is just 3 mil.
Well, you're also factoring that they're a
Do
heavy
other
tourism
things.
company too. No, I'm saying they're a
Yeah.
heavy tourism company too. So it's like you're looking at us as 3 mil, but what about the 3 mil that passed through Jamaica? So it's really more 6 mil.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Yeah, depending on how you
I
meant it, like.
guess.
But
I
they're heavy,
guess.
like they're a heavy supplier um to the hotels and stuff like that too. So hotels, obviously, like Jamaica people love jerk chicken. You were speaking about jerk chicken. When they come here, they're like, yeah man, jerk chicken man, Irie man.
Yeah. I mean, it's to capture a piece of that market, because I kind of think of, even suppose I get like a contract with like a Chipotle or something like that to supply chickens to like one of those companies. That would be huge. That would be absolutely huge. Right? The need for expansion would be there. Suppose them do like a rights issue because I need some funds over that side. Granted, how much money could they? I'd have to do some maths, but if they want to really and truly expand, probably the debt and equity. But if they wanted to grow at some of their hatcheries or acquire some of the companies over there or so on, because how much debt do they have on their books?
Well, up to April. Sorry. Up to April 2024, it was like 13 billion. 13 billion in debt.
When you compare that to their equity, that's not bad. Looking at their financials right now.
Oh, I'm showing it,
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Yeah. Could you see them doing like an equity raise? Because if the demand is there for the US market, I could see them doing an equity raise.
We'll see. But one of the things, I guess, like how I was viewing broilers, like I've always kind of looked at broilers, probably like a year or 2 years ago, and I'm like, yo, it is, I'd say like undervalued. We spoke about, without me even doing the deeper dive that I did now. I was looking at it. I remember even like when they had discontinued the Haiti operations, I was like late 2022.
I don't think we even spoke about that. Yeah, that they used to be in Haiti. And they used to sell a lot of eggs in Haiti, from what I remember. It was mainly eggs that they used to sell. And I think they sold their hatchery in Haiti. Yeah, their eggs. Yeah. When was that? I'm trying to remember that year. That was 2022?
Yeah, late 2022, they announced it.
Because it wasn't, what was it? It was just not profitable, or there was a lot of
I think they're making losses.
Violence or so on. I can't remember what it was. Like people used to steal stuff from them. I don't know.
I think there's a lot of issues, I guess, with Haiti and stuff that would affect, like if
businesses,
if you're changing government and lots of crime and other stuff is gonna affect them. But yeah, I guess I always like looked on them, and like even when it was like $30 whatever, I'd be like, okay, it is, I guess, like undervalued and stuff like that, based on I guess other things like earnings, and if you meant like, chicken is something we're always gonna kind of need until the lab grown chicken kicks in, I guess.
Who's to say they won't own a lab grown plant, a lab grown chicken plant, and go into that section of the market as well?
But I guess I was always looking on it. But I don't know. I didn't see, I guess, heavy growth, and I guess in a ways I'm right, because I mean, we're recording now. It's 41, and now it's like the stock is starting to get some legs, but the stock was almost $40 in 2021. That was 2022, 2023, 2024. It's now we're approaching we're in 2025. So that's like 4 years later, and it hasn't really it didn't really move. And one of the things I guess with broilers is that it's not very tightly held.
It's not.
So the top 10 owns based on this is top 10 owns 54%. And I guess that was part of that, because it's like there were always like some very large orders in the queue, right? So it's like to move the price, people are gonna have to buy it up, buy out those orders. Like
Uncle Chris has been buying.
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. Like no, but like if you look at it, we're recording. This is a queue up to January 3rd. In the sell queue, there's about 6 million or just under 7 million Jamaican. Think about this one. What was this 1 year ago? So what was January 3rd, 2024? Well, actually wasn't as but I think there was a point where I was looking at it and I was like, yo, the sell queue had just tons and tons of units, and there were like some hard, like if you even I was doing some, so you know that MJE will publish their top additions and the top stocks they sell and the top stocks they buy for each of the quarters, right?
Yes.
And what I noticed was that basically in 2020, over the last 2-3 years, MJE has been buying very heavily, right? So this on my screen started from early 2022 to of the most recent report, which is Q3 2024. Over that time, in terms of all the stocks, broilers has been the heaviest stock they've been buying. It's 35% of the money that they've put in, essentially. Like they spent over $1 billion on it. The only ones comparable would be NCB and JMMB and SVL dollar. But they have been buying broilers heavily.
Yeah.
So I guess when I was looking at something like this, it was almost like kind of showing me the different, the different mindset or investing style that you have to have when you reach this level of money, where you want to grow 24 mil US or 8 mil US. How would you invest on the Jamaica market? Because people say, okay, our market, it's not as liquid. It's not like you can just sell 8 million units, 8 million US of a stock. You could sell that on some stocks on the US market and it may not even really drop the price. But it's like it kind of showed me, this is because if you think about it, there are not a lot of other stocks where you could move $1.4 billion and the stock price doesn't really move.
Yeah, true.
Like, yeah,
true.
Like there are not many stocks where that much level of, and it's like buying on the open market too. It's not just buying from like a person, like a direct person,
or a
like you
company.
say, okay, I'll go buy it. Yeah, like, or buying from a shareholder directly. You're just buying from the queue. Like everyday people are just selling into the queue, and they have been able to buy very heavily. And I guess that was like, it was showing me like how you kind of have to invest when you're minting bigger money, because as I was saying, like for example, if I did up some numbers, let me see. So I think they had a target there was an article where there was like a target where they said that they want to double, I think, the US operations by over like the next 3 years, 5 years. So I was like, okay, let's do the numbers on that. For the financial year ended April, they did just under 40 billion or 242 mil US in revenue from the US operations. So if they want to double that, I did the math on that. Say they doubled that, and say the Jamaican operations didn't really grow that much. I mean, I would expect it likely to grow, but let's just say just the US side grew. What kind of revenue would they be doing? And then what kind of profits would they be doing if they had like a similar profit margin?
Yeah.
So I was saying, if with a 5% profit margin with that estimates, that'd be earnings per share of $5.72. So at the $40, which you're buying now, you'd be buying with a forward PE of 7. And then once again, if it were to trade at the main market average, which is the 19 times, that'd be $110 stock. if it were to trade at that price once again, or if you say it wasn't even trade at for the 19, but it was supposed to trade at 10, that's a $60 stock. And I guess I'm just realizing like how maybe for like a retail investor at the time, like if you look at it and you're like, okay, buying broilers over the last, say you bought broilers, I guess over the last year, it was like $30, 34, and it's now 41, so it's not bad. But I guess it's just this, it's like this
30% gain.
That's yeah. Well, no, well,
you said $30.
30.
Oh well, 34.
No, it was like 30. Yeah, but I guess there were times we could have bought it at 30 still.
Yeah,
there were times we could have bought it at 30. But I guess I was just looking at that, so I'm like, I guess I was like, yeah, over the last year, 20% gain over the last. Let me see, between January 3rd, 2023 to January 23rd, 2025, 34%. And I guess there are stocks I guess have grown up more then, but I guess that's kind of like how you kind of have to invest if you'd have like that bigger money that, hey, I know that there might be others that, other stocks that could grow more in that time, but the amount of money that I want to invest, I can't put $1 billion into that stock. By the time I start buying 100 mil of it, the stock it's flown and I'm not going to make as much money. I lose that margin of safety. But I don't know. I don't know. What do you? That's kind of, I guess, how I saw it. That was his play with broilers. And if you look at it, as I said, now the queue for broilers, it's getting harder to get units now, and it has started moving.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, there might be a lot of people who may be inclined to buy because they're like, oh, they're gonna, expand the U.S. operations. They're they're diversified. They have the U.S. to Jamaican side. We're not gonna stop eating chicken, so they may drop some good reports. They may, announce more expansions into the U.S., which I think Jamaican people will like.
Mm-hmm.
They don't pay out heavy dividends,
but they pay twice a year dividends. Well, they pay dividends twice this year. I think it's twice this year.
2024, I mean.
2024.
Yield was 2%. Yeah, not heavy, but yeah. Yeah, and I guess I found that interesting. And then, as I mentioned, like the possibility of like a liquidity event, if there was like a large, if there's a chicken producer in another country who's like, hey, we want to get in on this, maybe there's a liquidity event, and maybe that's kind of like how Barry was thinking. That he was like, okay, this is the kind of thing like, okay, this is the liquidity of the stock. Like, just like how we were saying that, I mean, generally, I kind of like stocks where it's tightly held because illiquidity can be your friend, I guess, because it's like if it's tightly held, if the top 10 shareholders own most of the company, and then the rest of the shares, say those top 10, like who own, say, 90% of the shares, aren't really going to sell. They're like, they're long-term investors. They'll hold it for 10, 30, 50 years. And then the rest of the company, which is like a smaller percentage, is maybe tightly held, or essentially it's like you can have like low supply, and then if there's high demand, good things are happening with the company, good things that make people want to buy the shares, and there's not that much supply, the stock price will fly. So that's generally why I'd look at like a company. I think like, I guess a Dolphin Cove is probably a good example. Because Dolphin Cove is like
so tightly held.
Is it? I think it's 95%.
In the top 10.
Yeah, 95%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Versus, as I said, broilers, where it's like
54%.
How much? 50%. And I guess that's just how you kind of have to look at it, because like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
but yeah,
when you think about investing in a company like broilers, that's one of the blue chips. So I know a lot of financial analysts or advisors and so on would be, and of course this is NFA, not financial advice, right? But I know a lot of financial advisors would say, broilers are a good addition to people's portfolio. Blue chip stocks, they pay dividends at least once a year. They're growing in the US market, and those kind of stuff.
Our analysts, what stocks do they have their eyes on for 2025?
Jamaica Broilers Group, United States, 5 million US dollars.
Jamaica Broilers. Strong fundamentals, attractive valuations, strategically positioned for further growth. Looking at Jamaica Broilers, geographic diversification of the company, U.S. operation, the U.S. operation, U.S. market, U.S. operation, fairly well priced from a PE standpoint.
So it's chicken, as you said, right? You can't really fail with, in terms of people eating chicken. People will always be eating chicken now till the end of time. So it's a good stock. I could see them doubling in the next 3 years for sure. I could see them at $80 in the next 3 years. Or if Barry keeps
in the
buying.
next. Yeah, that was my thing. So I'm looking on it. Like I was actually looking. I was like, yo, should I?
Because Barry sees something that we are not seeing right now.
No, I see it.
Well, I mean, we see it, but I feel
I've
like
always
there's
seen
something
it.
else Barry is seeing that it's giving him. Because
I think it's just the liquidity, bro. I think it's the same things we're seeing. It's just
the liquidity event.
It's not liquidity event. It's just once again, most of the stocks, like there are other stocks that are good, but of those stocks, could you have put $1.4 billion in? So it's like he's looking at it like, which other stock you could have doubled?
Well, he's selling. He's selling carb cement, or he sells carb cement. But
carb cement, I don't think trades that much though. I don't think you would have been able to put $1 billion in carb cement and the price not move.
I feel like he could have, but just not on the open market. Not like if you're talking open market.
Once again, that's the thing, because then because I guess you approach a shareholder and whatever. But once again, it's one of the. I could actually check the My1JA. I think you can track. Okay, let's look at the data. So 2024.
Oh, and guys, if you want to be able to analyze stocks like we do, use code Limitless for My1JA. Right, amazing platform. Use code Limitless for My1JA, and you'll get 5%. They get off. They get a decent little chump change. They get 5% off the value of the subscription. So use code Limitless, LIMITLESS.
Yeah, I was trying to see like which I was trying to rank the stocks based on the. Let's see, we're recording 2025. What's this? It's lagging. Yeah, 2025. So if you look at it, 2020. Okay, let's start with 2022 to now. Right? So we're recording 2025, and today is trading us up to third. I'm gonna explain one sec. So sort by value traded.
Preston is doing his little analysis.
So between January 2022, so this would be 2022 to 2023 to 2024 to 2025. So last 3 years, right? I'm ranking the stocks based on the value traded, like on the market. Broilers has been one of those, like when you rank it, because the only ones that would beat it, Sagicor, but then, for example, Sagicor had a big trade recently that probably offsets that. NCB had its APO, so they issued a lot of shares. Wysinco, I think, had a big block trade. Grace is a pretty big one too.
I mean, this
and
is what,
CPJ
17 billion?
Yeah.
For NCB. Okay, 2 billion.
X-Fund, I think Sagicor did some trading too with that.
Yeah.
And Broilers is one of those. It's, let's see, out of this ranking, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11th under. And if you look at it, there's once again, like the others, like for example, Transjam has moved up. In that time, Transjam has moved up 256%.
Has Barry been buying Transjam?
I don't think so. I'm just saying, like,
exactly.
He could have put the money in, but then by then the money, it would start moving. But it's like you put the money in and the stock doesn't really move that much. And then if you see where it's going, I guess.
True.
Yeah.
GK is one. But I understand where you're coming from with JBG.
Yeah. So I mean, in terms of as I said, it's probably gonna burn me when I look at this because, as I said, the queue is getting very scanty, and the fact that they've been buying so heavily at like 30 and whatever. It's like if you bought I said, what did it work out to? Like 1.4 billion at 30, say average price is like $30 or whatever, right? You could just buy 100 million at $40 and your average price doesn't really move that much.
Yeah.
Or what if you're just buying 30 million or 40 million at $40? So he can just buy at $40 now, the price, clear out the units in the queue, and then once again, if anyone wants to get shares, they're gonna have to buy at higher prices. So if they drop good results, there's more news about US expansion, all that other nice stuff. It's like you're gonna have to get the shares at like 40, 50. So it's like, I don't know.
Agreed.
I don't think this will. Let me see. We're 2025. It's probably not gonna close the year. Well, definitely don't see it closing the year above bits are below 50. But I think this could be the year that we see a $60 Jamaica Broilers still. Could be the year, man. I'm not saying it will close the year at 60. I'm saying it will hit. It will at least trade at 60. And that's how you double $1 billion, bro. It's not that hard.
Well, you said Preston, the fund manager.
Speak
the Limitless fund into being, bro. Let's do it. But
yes.
I agree. That's the way to do it. You really have to look at your options. I think JBG for Berry is a good option. And even not even just for Berry, but even retail investors that are looking for something.
Yeah, go 40 to 60. Well, I guess you're buying out like 42.
And look at the queue. The queue has cleared out a lot.
That's what I said, bro. Like, I don't know. It's like I want to buy, but then I'm like, I can't. I don't want.
Oh, I'm just talking like, I don't really want, but
I don't want to sell what I'm in.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Let's have margins. Okay. Yeah, I need to think more about this.
Preston is stressed, guys. Preston,
you want to lend me some money?
Guys, comment below if you want to lend Preston some money. But really and truly, comment below if JBG is a company that you like, because it to us it's a nice company. I like it. As Protege say, I like it. Do you like it? But yeah, let us know. But this is definitely one to watch. Definitely one to watch. Guys, subscribe if you love this episode. Right, we do content like this all the time. And I would love for you guys to also comment and tell us what else do you want to hear from us, right? Is JBG a stock in your portfolio? How do you feel about the company? Right, what do you think about the expansion? Right? Have you seen best dressed chicken in the markets in the US, in the supermarkets in the US? Let us know. We'd like to hear what you have to say. But without further ado, thank you guys so much for watching our content as always. And Limitless out.
Peace.